and welcome to our battle of the convoy of the Levant. And yes, families finally went to rest, and I can spare a bit to play a bit of the game. I won't do everything in one go, so this is going to be the initial contact turns. We are turn 1. Wind is actually blowing against us, given that Cape St. Vincent is somewhere to that direction. So it's blowing on a southeasterly bearing, and yeah, of course, the Levant convoy has turned the Cape, and surprisingly enough has seen ships approaching. They have a deficient identification of the ships that were coming, but that was normal in the age of sail due to the rigging types. It was not uncommon for 74 gunners to be, and frigates, frigates being identified as 74 gunners, and the opposite as well. Because identification is not easy at sea, especially in the age of sail. You started with the rigging at a long range, then, I don't know, roughly less than a mile actually, you started to see the hull, and then closer, that's when you pick up the details. And spy glasses are not really to zoom in and see the details. Is actually to have a more clear detailed view than actually magnification. But let's start with turn 1, and turn 1 we're going to roll for the initiative, and initiative is rolled with a d10 die for each. Flying colors, a 0 is a 0. On this scenario, even if the Royal Navy is surprised by the appearance of the French, they have an audacity of 1, the French have 0. So we roll 2 die. Okay, French got a 9, the Brits got a 9. But the Brits have 1 audacity, so they add 1. So the British have the initiative in turn 1. Now, they are beating. Beating normally gives 2 movement points, but the wind is calm, so we have -1. We have no one at full sail, and the sensor cannot even go at full sail. Sensor. The frigates can declare if they want to add 1 to their movement. Well, before that, before rolling for initiative, we would have to decide the commands, and on this situation, the British decide on a formation command because all the ships are pointing in exactly the same direction, and they are within 5 axes of their formation. The same happening with the French. They are all pointing in the same direction and in range. So they can pretty much see the signals being relayed from ship to ship. Usually the second ships could easily see the first. And one thing that actually the lines of battle, and let's say that the axis would be like 20 meters. Lines of battle would be like this, or even offset sometimes. So all ships could see the signals being relayed. But it's okay because we are not dealing with such minutiae. So we imagine they are offset in a way they can see the signal. So Taylor signals that they will go ahead at not full sail, so we are at fighting sail. Some people know it as battle sails, and they were majority of the battles used battle sails. They were called fighting sails for a reason, because they were the settings for firing guns that have sparkles and all that stuff, which can ignite the sails if you are fighting against the wind, which is the case. All right, so the Brits move 1 point forward. Well, they can move 2 actually. Sensor can move 2 as well. The frigates will move +1. 3. Okay. The British did move 1 command. Imagine it was a bigger fleet. Now they would move to the French. The French would move 1 command, then would come back to the British to move another command. In this situation, so far we have only 1 command, and that's all we'll have, because there's only one commander in each fleet. Remember that at this point, Taylor has already signaled the entire convoy of 30 ships to start to scatter. You will try to screen as long as possible the French for the convoy to escape. The initial escort of the convoy of the Levant was not only these ships, there were more, but after turning the Cape, Taylor thought it was pretty safe, and he was right to a point. Usually the Royal Navy had a very good presence, but as things are in the sea, yeah, you can't cover everything, so the French appeared, and it's the Richerie, and he had plenty of experience fighting the Royal Navy. Experience gained through the American Revolution War. So British moved, and so now we will have the French, which are actually running, and you don't want the wind straight behind you. You want always the wind at an angle, so you are at a reach. But even so, they have 4 movement points. So what the French will do, and as they want to keep a good wind and start firing soon, so they will move 1, 2, 3. That's the running, and they can make a turn from running to beating. Now, thinking if it's too soon or not so much. If I would immediately start aligning the fleet so I can cut the Brits, or if I approach more and then turn, because I know that the English don't have the wind. So I have an option to even get closer. I might risk some shots to the rigging of the Victoire, and once I reach closer, then I turn into them. There might be the issue that Royal Navy might actually tack through, but even so, if the French Revolutionary Fleet keeps the wind at this position, I don't think the Royal Navy has many options other than try to delay as much as possible. So I think the Richerie going to order the entire fleet to move slightly closer. So we have like 100 meters, so we are still fairly far away from them. At this distance, that's where the spyglasses and the officers looking through the spyglass now have an idea that they were wrong. Actually, it's not 4 frigates and 2 74 gunners. It's actually, at this point, they are seeing that it's probably 3 74 gunners, and they are starting to think that maybe the ones in the back are actually also not frigates, but they still don't know for sure. So Taylor has a decision to make. So the turn is done. There's no firing, nothing else, so we go for turn 2. Now there's a chance of the wind rotating. Well, if we go by the sequence of play, we have a wind adjustment segment. It's the first thing. We're going to roll a die, and if it's a 0, the wind changes. It rolled a 6, so it remains. Now command determination, it's still the same. We have a formation command for the Brits and a formation command for the French Republic Navy. So again, initiative rule, and we have the French with the 3 and the Royal Navy with the 2. The Royal Navy adds the audacity, so we have a 3 to a 3, and in case of a tie, it wins the side with higher the audacity. So audacity works for the +1 plus to break the tie. So the Royal Navy has the initiative, and now they can decide if they let the French move first, one of their commands, or if they themselves move first. I really think that Taylor might want to start to delay them here. So is going to allow the French command to move first. Now, the Richerie still has 4 movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And at this point, actually, Taylor commands the Fortitude to open fire, to try and aim at the rigging of the Victoire. It's not a common thing for the Royal Navy to aim so high, but the issue here, and we have to think on why the Royal Navy squadron is here. And the French happened to bounce into the British convoy, right? So it was just by chance that they found the convoy. But the Brits, their operational idea is to actually protect the convoy. So they open fire. And by opening fire, it means we have to check all the rolls regarding that. And it's a very simple table that we have to go through. So let's put it like this, okay? So we have the Fortitude, which is ship of the line, 3rd rate. Let's put it more closely. All right, it's a ship of the line, 3rd rate, and we are at 1, 2, 3, 4 range. So we always count off the one in the middle, really, or it's the closest. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty much the same. So we have ship of the line relative rate of 3. At the range of 4, we have a relative firepower of 6. Now, this is the first initial broadside. It's an optional rule, but I always use it because it's true to form. That was a very important thing during the Age of Sail, the very first broadside. And in many occasions, the initial broadsides in line of battle actually decided 50% of what happened next. So that's a +2. So we have a 6 relative, right? And with +2 becomes an 8. Just checking something in the playbook, because I remember it was a reference to the regarding the rate. Exactly, the sensor was armed and fruit, so when the sensor shoots is relative rate of 2. Okay, the attacker audacity, and here is not attackers, it's the firers audacity. It applies whatever. If I am doing, it's my activation turn, and even if I'm doing defensive fire, which now it's the case. So it's a +1, so from 6 +2, 8, +1, 9. All right, so that's pretty much it. There's no shading on the relative rate. And, oh yes, I don't think, let's check the carronades, because during my previous games we forgot that. So, carronade table, it's all to range of 3, so nothing applies. Okay, so we found that we have 6 +2 +1, it's a 9. So in the hit result tables, what we do, and we are shooting at the rigging, we have to consult column 9, and we simply roll a die, and we roll the 6. There's some modifiers. Okay, so let's see the modifiers. We are shooting at the rigging. We are firing into the wind, so we add 1 because we are aiming at the rigging. So our roll of 6 becomes a 7. But there's a -2 because we are firing in calm conditions of the wind. So a 7 becomes a 5. And that's pretty much it. So we cross-reference our 5 score in the 9 column on the rigging targeting, and we damaged 2 rig. Okay, it's not bad, it's just damage, well, some rigging damage. So we go to the Victoire and we put 2 rigging damage on it. Now the Victoire did move 1, 2, 3, 4, and it still can make a turn for 0 movement points from running to beating. It pays nothing. There we go, it's done. The same will happen to the Jupiter. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the Jupiter will not turn here. They will all turn there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it was 3. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Oh, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the result would be different, but we're not going to replay it. 1, 2, 3. And why it's 3? Because it's 4 movement points base while running, but the sea is calm, so it's -1. All right, and the entire line of battle of the French Republic Navy moves inches closer to the British fleet. Now, all ships can fire twice in an entire turn. Obviously, they can fire from port side, from starboard. There's also chasers, but it's not really important. It's not exceptionally important, really. So now that the French ended their command activation, because the Royal Navy side decided that the French can move first, now it's the Royal Navy. Now the Royal Navy sees the Victoire starting its turn to port to bring all guns to bear. Well, they are still beating, and they have only 1 movement point. What he does is he will move forward, and now he has to, he can't, well, the Fortitude can't fire because he fired already, and now he has to make a decision if it will turn to starboard, trying to stay away from the Victoire there, or try to maximize the damage that even the Bedford can bring to bear. The Bedford would move there and make a partial broadside to the Victoire, or keep his initial broadside for the next. Okay, so options that we have: we can turn, right, and be like that, and that would be actually overall the best option here, and have the Bedford move up, and we mimic the French, and then try to make a wear around. But we might get broken by the French coming through. But we get some movement points, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to move the Bedford forward. We're going to keep our guns silent, because we have only a partial broadside. Okay. Okay, we have only 1 movement point there. The sensor is going to be very, very, I think the French are going to break the line somewhere here if they keep moving forward, or if they go in a serpentine. And actually the frigates are not going to use the extra point, and they yeah, only the Tisiphone will use it. The Lutine will move 1 and back sails. Tisiphone will move 1, 2. It would be 3, but -1 from the calm wind. So we end the British movement like that. The French are still waiting with the guns, so we go for the turn 3. Same as before, initiative, a wind adjustment, sorry. and we rolled a 0. The wind changed, well, might have changed. So we roll another die. Only rotates when there's a 0. Then you roll again and you roll a 0. And you consult the table, 0 to 5, there's no change. So it was just a small gust, and it might seem that was going to change, but no, it kept its course, kind of its strength. Now, there's now the commands. So we have only one command there, Taylor, and we have the Richery here. So we can't really decide to make a formation command, because not all ships are pointing the same way. We have Taylor here, so, and this range is 4. With the Richery, we have, this can be a formation command, and the Victoire could be out of formation. It's not what happens with Taylor, because Taylor is the one that is in the ship of the front, in the front. So what will happen is that Taylor will have to use his range. The Richery can actually keep his formation command and leave the Victoire out of command. Okay, the Vic is going to use his group command, same as Taylor. Group command is takes in range, takes it's the range, ships in his range that you can go around enemy ships if the brawl starts. So when it ships in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically the French command will be the Berwick up to the Victoire and the Revolution, and the Duquesne will be out of command. It's not something that is extremely bad or negative. Let me see if where's the out of command counters. I had EX here. So just put them there so I remember, because I have to make rolls. Okay, and now we have the British. Taylor has only 4, so that's a 1, 2, 3, 4. So Censeur, Lutin, and Tisiphone are all out of command. It was something that had to be done, really. I'm going to put out of command for the 2 frigates and 1 for the Censeur, right? So out of command ships are always the last to be activated. And now that this is decided, on this turn 3, we go for the initiative rolls. The British rolled a 9, French rolled a 2. It's the Brits that have the initiative. So situation is not good. We have the entire rear out of command, but we have Taylor and the Fortitude on a reaching attitude. So he has 5 movement points, -1 because it's calm. So he's going to move 1, 2, oh, and he reloaded the guns. So 1, 2, 3, and it changes its attitude from reaching to running, pays 1 movement point. So the Bedford will still has the old movement of -1. So he'll move 1 forward and then changes to starboard. It's a bit complicated to do the maneuvers, especially with calm wind and all that, but it is what it is. So now that the British played their command formation, they pass the command activation to the French. Now the French have one command that they can. So the Victoire has 5 movement points, -1 for calm. It will 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, the Richelieu will still has only 3 because it's 4 -1. So 1, 2, 3, and same with the Barra. 1, 2, 3. Same with the Barrack. 1, 2, 3. Command was activated. It's back to the British. Now the out of command has some limitations, and especially regarding if they want to fire any broadsides. Regarding the movement, it's not that a complicated situation, but is not so decisive as when you fail out of command activation. So out of command ships, and this is how it reads. Okay, ships that are out of command may be limited in what they can do when activated. We knew that from the start. When each out-of-command ship is selected, a die is rolled and compared to the fleet's audacity rating, deducting the fleet's admiral command quality, which for this battle each one is 1. It's the yellow square. The command quality if he is not dead or captured. If the result is less than or equal to the audacity, the ship may function as if it were in command. If the command check fails, the ship may not end its move adjacent to an enemy ship or fire when activated unless it starts, means is activated when adjacent to an enemy ship. Out of command ships may always fire defensively. Okay, so what it means is that the sensor can move 1 and turn. All right. Now it's back to the French, and they can activate an out of command ship. So 1, 2, 3. Back to the Brits. And they will activate one of the frigates. Now the frigate has to decide if he wants to add one or not to the movement. In this case, I will not, and he has 2 movement points, and he will move 1 and back sails, spend the last one. Back to the French, out of command ship. 1, 2, 3. Done. Back to the Brit, which will move the last. We'll move the 24-gunner corvette. Very French name. And he will not add 1, so it will move 1. It would have 3, -1 for calm, So one movement point, and he spends another movement point backing sails. So the idea of the frigates here is they will try to shield the sensor as much. Now, both frigates, even despite they were in a line with the ships of the line, they are not in line of battle. They cannot. The ships of the line will only open fire against the frigates if they give them damage, which Taylor really wants them to do. So basically, we reach turn 4, and given things are getting hairy already, we are going to continue turn 4 or start turn 4 in the next segment. So have a good night, guys. Thanks for sticking up. Any suggestions, any ideas, any comments, even if it's because this is all a learning process for me and for my friends and for people that watch the videos. So leave comments, and well, have a good night and play Flying Colors. Great game, really good. I know I'm biased because of Age of Sail, but that's how it is. It's a very good game, and given the amount of scenarios you have and content that you can create, and even comes in the magazines or websites or whatever, you can have a never ever ending of gameplay. So cheers.